Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of scaling a six-figure eBay business. Today we're going to be talking about eBay stores, how you can set yourself up to make sure that your eBay store is set up correctly so you can do a six-figure year selling on eBay. So one of the key things about having an eBay store is the way it's set up, right? So if you have an eBay store and it's running out of your personal name, so mine's Riley, so my eBay store were Riley, I don't have any business information or anything in there, you're going to have a harder time scaling up. Now, is it impossible? No, but it has been our experience that eBay pays better attention or more attention and gives priority to eBay stores that are set up like a legitimate business. Now, let's face things too. One of the things that resellers face is they have a hard time being taken serious by people in the business world. And why is that? You know, I remember when we were doing eBay full time, we were reselling full time. We had our massive shop. Here we are generating $500,000 in revenue a year. And a lot of people that I had done business with in the past thought it was kind of a joke. I mean, once they found out how much money we were making, then they paid a little bit more attention. But they were like, eBay, really? And I think part of that reason is there are so many small sellers on the platform that don't really make anything. And the other issue is you have a lot of people who have tried it and, you know, for one reason or the other, it just didn't work out, right? They never made any money. They couldn't figure out how to make eBay work for them to make good money. And then you have the other thing, you know, you've got all these people on eBay making these huge claims of making all this money, flip this, pay me $500, I'll show you how you can make all this money. You've got all that. So it creates this system where eBay sellers can sometimes not be considered legitimate business. And we want to remove that for you. We want to make sure that you are set up as a legitimate business. And the reason, part of the reason behind that is because you are a business. With this first time you sell something on eBay, you're now a business, right? You are now creating income off of the eBay platform. You are a business. You are making money. So if you're making money, that's awesome. Once again, these videos, if they're designed more for an advanced seller. So if you're just starting out, make sure you go over to the resellerroadmap.com. That takes you to our school group. You can jump on there. There's a lot of free resources for brand new sellers, help you get going in the right direction and help you start optimizing everything with your eBay store to get to the point where you can start thinking about scaling it. Our recommendation is you have at least 10,000 over 90 days and are a top-rated seller or a top-rated seller plus, which is even better. But let's jump into this, right? So one of the first things that we need to talk about is what differentiates a personal seller from a business seller. So one of the things is eBay fees, right? Now if you're at this point, you understand eBay fees, where they're at. The other thing that differentiates from them is whether you have an eBay store or an eBay selling account. An eBay store is a subscription. You pay monthly for it. Typically, you don't want to have that unless you have over 250 items listed. We tell everybody, don't even worry about getting that until you're seeing consistent sales and your sales are over, or you have over 200 items listed. Then you can think about moving and upgrading to an eBay store. One of the things that you need to think about really, really seriously is we have a whole list here of things to go over. Number one is you need to have an LLC or a corp. An S corp or a C corp. You need to talk to an accountant about this and make sure it's whatever's right for you, but you need to be registered legitimately to do business through your state. So that is a LLC or a C corporation or an S corporation. We want to remove you as a person from the ownership of your company. You know, you still own it, you still own that LLC, but now you're registered and you are a real business according to your state. That's really important because when you go in and you put that information into eBay, it shows eBay that, hey, I am really serious about doing this as a business. eBay takes that really seriously. And the reason why is because every seller has a reputation. Oops, if I could spell. Each seller has a reputation with eBay. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to protect this reputation. One of the fastest ways that you can start building a good reputation with eBay is you show them you're serious about business. You get an LLC, you get an EIN number, you get the things that signify that you are a legitimate business. The other thing this opens up for you is you can get a resale certificate from your state. Most states have them, some of them call them different things, but a resale certificate means that you're able to go in and buy items at a reduced cost, and a lot of times you don't have to pay taxes on it until you sell it. So you go to an auction, normally you'd pay taxes on it if you're doing business as yourself. Once you have an LLC, you have that resale certificate, you can go in and you can typically buy that auction and you don't have to pay taxes up front. You do when you, at the end of the year, you have to pay, or every quarter you have to pay those taxes. But it is a really good thing. So with your eBay store, you want to go in, you want to get one of those subscriptions if you don't already have one. The cheapest one is in the 20s. The most expensive one is hundreds. But it's going to show eBay that, hey, I'm willing to spend money on my eBay store so I can make more money, right? Now, a couple of things that we always recommend while you're doing your store. You need to be at a place where you are a top-rated seller or a top-rated seller plus. That's really, really important. And what that means is that your interactions that you're having on eBay are, you're using your customer service, you're making sure your handling times are good, you're making sure that you're not canceling stuff for being out of stock. All of these things that really add in a lot of metrics that eBay looks at that's going to determine whether you can hit this or not. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a screen on my computer. Okay, so with that reputation, it's really important that you protect that. It's no different than owning a business in a local community, a brick and mortar store. You know, if you own a brick and mortar store, you're going to go out of your way to ensure good customer service, make sure your customers are happy. You need to make sure you're doing that same thing when it comes to your eBay store. You know, you're not doing anything that would be dishonest or deceitful. You're making sure your listings are good. You cutting down. So there's a couple of things that can add to issues on eBay. We'll talk about them later as well in the customer service and a few of the other topics, but we're going to go over them really quick. So cancel strikes are a big one. Handling times. Let's see here. Returns are another big one. And shipping. And this is a very, very highly debated topic on eBay, is free versus paid. Okay, so that's a very highly controversial topic in a lot of the Facebook groups. You shouldn't be losing money on shipping, and that's important for your bottom line, right? If you're trying to do free shipping and you're constantly losing money, it's not right for you. Stick with paid shipping for as long as you can. But I'm going to point out a few things on this. So cancel strikes, and this goes back to inventory. We're going to talk about it a lot during inventory, the inventory section. Cancel strikes, if you cancel too many sales, say you just can't find that item, you cancel the sale, well, it gives you a strike that goes against your reputation with eBay. Same with handling times. If you have a longer handling time, say your handling time is 2 to 3 business days, eBay doesn't like that. You know, returns. If you are trying to not accept returns, eBay doesn't like that. All of these things here are things that, if you're not doing them, and a lot of sellers, like I'm going to say the majority of sellers, they have a really hard time with either 2 or 3 of these things. Now, the problem with that is sellers who have a hard time with these things are most likely not going to make it to six figures in a year. And the reason why is it all feeds into eBay's algorithm, right? So whether sellers like it or not, we compete against Walmart and Amazon, as well as other big box stores that are selling online. These big stores are educating your consumers on what to expect when they shop online, right? So both of these places offer free shipping. Both of these places offer free returns. Both of these places have really, really short handling times. Both of these places very seldomly cancel items. So that is something that you've got to replicate with your eBay store. If you're wanting to scale up and move forward in a really big way, then you've got to replicate what the big giants are doing, right? So when we changed all this with our business, we took significant jumps in our sales on each one. We fought free returns for 18 months. 18 months we fought free returns. We did not want to do free returns. When I first started doing eBay, you didn't have to accept returns. You could say no returns, and that was that. So we fought free returns. And if you don't have returns turned on, then you get what's called an INAD. Item not as described. So an item not as described is a serious flag on your account when you get them, and that's why you would want to turn returns on. It takes that away. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say there's tons of bad buyers on eBay. We've had a couple, but if you get into these social media groups, you're going to see lots of bad experiences. That's a lot of what you're going to see is nothing but bad. We've shipped thousands upon thousands upon thousands of packages every year, and I'm telling you that our experiences with dealing with bad customers far outweighs or is far smaller than what our experience has been dealing with bad sellers. So we used to try to buy a lot of stuff on eBay. Unfortunately, the seller quality has come down a lot, and so we had a lot of issues with making purchases on eBay. But the flip side of it, when we were selling, we just really didn't have any problems. I'm not saying they're not there, they are. And you've got to protect yourself from them, and that's why the free returns is a really good course to do. So when you're setting up your store, if you haven't implemented a handling time that is within 24 hours, I would not go more than one business day. We'll talk more about that in packaging, because that's how you do it, is your packaging, right? That resolves this. You absolutely have to have free 30-day returns. eBay has a policy of 30-day money-back guarantee. So whether you believe you are accepting returns or not, you accept returns. If that person wants to return that item, all they have to do, even though it's a lie, all they have to do is say, hey, item wasn't as described. And you are taking that item back, you're giving them a return, and then not only are you taking the item back, but now you have one of these on your account. Most negative strikes take anywhere from 6 months to a year to fall off. A lot of them are over a year. How do you get them down? Well, you sell more stuff. That's about the only way to do it, is you got to sell more stuff. But the more of these you get, the less stuff you are going to sell, because eBay is not going to have very much trust in you, and they're going to push you down farther in the algorithm because they know you're not doing your job. Shipping. This is another one. Really quick, back to returns. So we fought returns. I tracked it. I was obsessive about our returns. We typically had 2.8% returns over the course of 1 year. And when we switched to free returns, that dropped from 2.8% down to right around 1%. We literally cut our returns in half. Now, before we did this, we had 4 or 5 INADs over the course of 18 months. And it was hurting us, right? Those really do hurt you. When we switched to free returns, we paid the shipping back to us. It completely cut our returns in half, and we never received another item not as described. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And the other cool thing that happened is our sales almost doubled just from making that switch. We made that switch, and the next day we sold over double what we had done the day before. So it's got that I think eBay has an algorithm, and when they see sellers making certain choices that they want you to make, they're going to push your listings higher because they know it's going to be a better experience for the customer. Shipping, the big debated topic. Do you offer free versus paid shipping? So when we help people get started on eBay, we always tell them to start with calculated shipping. It's really important to start out with calculated shipping. You've got to figure out, okay, so when I'm shipping from here, you need to learn how to ship. You need to learn about the box sizes. You need to be able to look at a box and look at an item and be like, that item right there, I'm going to throw it in this box, and it's going to cost approximately this much money. Now, you're not going to know it exactly, but when you ship as much as we have, you get to the point that just looking at an item, we can pretty much tell approximately within a couple of dollars of how much it's going to ship for, right? So that is really important. Now, why free versus paid? So paid is calculated, the buyer is, their costs are calculated out to their location. It's very accurate as long as you put your information in. And if you've been selling a long time, you know this. Free is not. You pad that cost into the selling price of your item. So I'm going to give you an example. When it comes to our store and our listings and things like that, we have within 24 hours of when they make the payment, it's same day shipping. Same day shipping, cutoff time is 2 p.m. We have free 30-day returns, and we offer free shipping. All those are what we did, okay? That right there, those three things over tripled what our business was when we implemented all those three things. Now, why did we do free shipping? Well, we did it because Amazon and Walmart do it. And we were actually able, and I'm not kidding about this, when we put an item up on eBay, when we list an item on eBay, we typically list that item for about 3 to 5% higher than the highest listing. And the reason we do that is it's not because we want the item to sit there a long time. But we know that we're top rated Seller Plus. We know we offer free shipping. We know we offer free returns. We know we have really fast handling times. And I'm gonna tell you, we typically sell our items really, really fast. If it's a good item that has a really high sell-through rate, we're gonna sell it just as fast as anybody else is, even though we're more expensive than others. And so that was what we did, and that's what these things allowed us to do. We were able to get maximum amount of profit off of an item. With pricing it that a little bit higher as well, if I wanted to run a discount to bring it back down or even just a little bit lower than the average, I could do that without it cutting our throat. So these three things right here, cut your handling time down, free returns, and consider free shipping. If shipping is killing you and you just can't figure it out, then don't do free shipping. Do calculated shipping. You don't want to lose money. But you really need to work on this because being free shipping is a 6-figure eBay step, right? You want to sell 6 figures on eBay, that's something you've got to consider and something you've got to figure out. There's a lot of sellers on eBay that refuse to do that, and there's also a lot of sellers that will never make that. So that's just one of those things. You want the income that the big boys make, you got to play by the big boy rules. You can't make up your own rules and think that it's going to work. So that is something that you definitely got to consider when you're considering your eBay store, your shipping policies, that type of thing, is handling times, returns, free shipping. Those are all big key items. The next thing you're going to want to do is, so now we've talked about getting an LLC, getting a C Corp, make sure you have an accountant. If you're running this kind of volume through your eBay store, you should already have an accountant. Don't do your taxes by yourself. Don't go out and have a buddy do them. You need to have a legitimate accountant. There's a lot of them. You want to try to find one that's familiar with reselling or selling online. But if you've got an accountant, they're going to be able to help you and direct you on which one is the best business structure for your business. And you're going to want to get that in eBay. Get your eBay store. Now, here's the other thing. When you get to this level and you are working on moving up and making more sales, there's two things that you really need to focus on as well, or that you need to add in. Number one is So you need to add in your own branding, get a custom logo. Custom logos are really easy nowadays. It's as simple as getting on ChatGPT or Gemini and asking it to build you a custom logo. You put in the prompts. There's lots of groups that talk about AI, how you can use AI. We use AI for a lot of our logos and stuff like that. It's just really simple, and they're typically really easy to build out a really high quality logo really, really fast. And especially one that represents you and your business. So you want to really be, as you're starting down this roadway to six figures, once you've reached this, you really need to start on figuring out your branding, who you are, how you want your business to come across, right? When they see your symbol, what does it make them think? The other thing that you want to do, number 2, is your website. We built a e-commerce website off of eBay. And the reason we did that is we wanted our customers that were shopping on eBay to be able to come and find us directly. So our website, our domain name was the exact same as our branding for our eBay stores. Our store name, our website name, our social media name, they were all the same. And we had a lot of customers that would buy on eBay and then they would return and they would shop for different things on our online store and make purchases. The third thing is social media. Now, this one was huge for us. We got really good at this early on, and it really changed how our business grew. We grew 90% of our growth was done through just organic reach on social media. We didn't pay for advertising. We didn't have big flyers in the newspaper. All we did was we created a Facebook page. We started sharing it in the local groups, started having our friends share it, word of mouth. We had a big sign in our warehouse where people could find our social media. We gave them a discount for following us on social media the first time. I think it was like 10% off. But this is how we did this with our eBay so that we could get this information out. Because remember, if you try to take somebody off platform when you're on eBay, that is something you can get banned for. And I would never recommend you do that with anybody. Never message anybody, never tell them, say, hey, here's my email address, this is my website, don't put your website, don't put your social media on your pictures. Those are really good ways to get your account banned, get your store shut down, and then you're not going anywhere, right? You're done on eBay. But what you can do is like one of these cards. This is like a 4x6 card, right? And what you do is you can go to Staples, there's a lot of places you can get them. You get all your branding put on there, your logo, you put your website on it, your social media accounts, and on the back of it you write a nice little thank you. That it can just be generic, and you, as you're packaging up the box, you just throw it right in the top of the box. Whether they look at it or not, who cares? It doesn't matter. I think those cost me like 10 cents a piece, so it's not a huge expense, but it's something where you can start to funnel your loyal eBay customers to your social media, to your website, to where you can get additional sales without having to pay the eBay fees. Now, am I telling you to send that out and try to get people up? No, that's not why you're doing it. The other thing, we actually had not very many people that would buy from us that were from eBay, but I'll tell you what they would do. We would do a live video anytime we would get inventory coming into our shop, right? Inventory would come in, we would take and we would do a live stream as we were unloading the inventory. And we usually had 3 people on the live stream, 1 watching comments, and we would get so many people that were like, hey, I want that. Get it up on eBay for me. I want that. How much for that? And we would literally sell a lot of inventory before we even listed it to eBay. And then all it was posting it on eBay. They'd immediately buy it, done. You know, it was great. It was a really fantastic way. So that's what I'm saying is if you can take your loyal customers, you get them used to your brand, you add in your website and your social media, that way, that gives you a way that you can stay in touch with them all the time instead of just on eBay when they happen to be looking for an item. You can sell them on stuff on your social media and website without them having to go and look for that item because you're right there on social media, right? So those are two key things that are going to help you to scale up and really set yourself apart when it comes to an eBay store. So make sure you have your LLC, your corporation done. That is number one. That's going to be a big benefit to you. Number two is your branding. Oh, and real quick too, back to the LLC corporation. This is a business, right? And so the way that businesses work tax-wise is quite differently than the way they work as an individual, as you're an employee or a contractor. When you have a legitimate corporation set up, a legitimate business with the IRS, with your state, you qualify for certain tax write-offs, is what they call them. You can write mileage off. Sometimes you can write off food, lodging, all your inventories are write-off. But that's why we want you to talk to an accountant when you set this up. And you should be doing an accountant for all your taxes anyway. That needs to be budgeted in. It's important because, I tell people all the time, I've seen bad businesses, but I've never seen a business be a bad tax write-off. I really haven't. Every business can be a great tax write-off. The last thing I want to talk to you about on this subject is, I call it the rule of 33. So when we first started out, we weren't making a ton in the beginning, and we were putting everything back in. One of our biggest mistakes that we made is we weren't paying ourselves from our business from the beginning, which we should have done. Now, I call it the rule of 33. And what that is when you are selling on eBay, let's say you sell $1,000 item, right? You got $1,000. You got $1,000 of income this month, okay? That's net after your cost of goods, your services, your shipping, that stuff. You've got $1,000 left, okay? So I call it the rule of 33 because you're going to take 33% and you're going to put it in savings. You're going to take 33% and put it back into inventory. And you're going to take 34% and call it a paycheck or something like that. If you want to do quarters, you can do quarters. But the whole purpose of this is getting you to start thinking about not spending everything that you have coming into your business. A lot of times people will start an eBay business because they want to make extra money, right? They want extra income. And one of the sad things we watch is somebody will get into eBay, they'll be selling, and they take all that profit and they use it to pay off bills, which they need. They need that, right? But they do it too soon. And so 4 months down the road, all of a sudden they can't afford to go sourcing anymore. And that's really, really difficult. So whatever you put into savings, there's two reasons for having a savings account. Number one is taxes. So at the end of the year, when you get hit with the tax debt, you're not completely surprised. And this will be something that an accountant can help you with and tell you this is exactly how much in your situation you need to be putting to the side. The other reason for the savings is when sometimes some of the best deals that we ever had the opportunity to buy when it came to inventory and sourcing was stuff that we had not anticipated. And it was stuff that, maybe 15 grand. Well, typically you're not going to have 15 grand to just grab. Most people can't put their hands on 15 grand in less than 24 hours. Most people can't put their hands on 5 grand in less than 24 hours. So if you practice this saving technique where you're putting some of your savings away in your business account, then what you're able to do is if you have one of those big inventory purchases that just all of a sudden comes up, you've got the cash sitting there, right? You can buy it, flip enough to refill your savings account really fast, and then go back to how it was. And then obviously grow your business by buying inventory. When you're a reseller, that is probably one of the most important things, is putting money out for more inventory. Now, our mistake was we grew really, really fast, probably too fast. But our mistake was we didn't pay ourselves for too long. And that makes you start to ask the question why you're doing it. When you're working really, really hard and your business is making good money, but you're putting the money back in every single month, it can be really easy to overextend yourself farther than what you should. Whereas if you're paying yourself and putting stuff in savings, it kind of helps keep you slowed down a little bit so you're not going to overextend. That was one of the issues we ran into a couple of times in our business, is that we were growing so fast that we became top heavy really quick, and we had to take some pretty drastic measures to get rid of that top heaviness. So, but think about that. Anyway, the other thing that you need to be making sure that you're doing is, if you haven't yet, if you're doing this and you are still running out of your personal business account, when you set up an LLC, you need to make sure that you set up a bank account for your LLC and move all your funds going through that account. It's really, really super important. Even if you choose not to set up an LLC or a corporation, you still need to set up a separate bank account and make all your funds go into a different account where it is a lot more difficult to touch them. And you only use that account for business expenses. So anyway, hopefully this has helped you as far as structuring your eBay store. You know, we have the three things you want to do here is you want to have a store subscription, right? Store subscription, you want to have an LLC or corp. They call it getting incorporated. And then we want to have branding, and we want to have a website / social media. Okay, those are all really important things. And then you also want to, right here, you want to refine your business policies. These are really, really important. And like I said, if you're not comfortable with doing free shipping, you need to get there, because that's what's really going to help you get to the six figures. You don't want to lose money on it. So you really need to figure that out to where you can do it. You know, I was talking to Clarissa's mom the other day. We've been teaching her how to sell, and she jumped right in and tried to do free shipping right away, which, you know, she did it on a couple of items, and then she went to paid shipping. But one of the things I was talking to her about, I was like, you know, when we would sell, you know, 40 items in a day, right? And they're all free shipping. There were some of those items that we wouldn't make a profit on. Let's say out of 40 items, we do $1,000 combined total off of all of them, right? And that's our profit after shipping and everything. But we're going to have items in here that, you know, maybe we didn't make a lot off. Maybe we only made 50 cents, or maybe we made $20, or maybe we made $30, or maybe we lost $1. But the combined total is going to bring us up to here. I was okay with that, because one of the things that eBay's algorithm is that the more items you're selling, the more popular you are, right? So they're going to push more traffic to you. The more you sell, the more you sell. And so I was okay, you know, if we didn't make a lot of profit. And there was a lot of items that we would sell in our retail shop that just would stop selling. So we'd throw them on eBay for a couple of bucks, just try to, you know, our whole goal was just to clear the inventory out, get them out, get done with them. And if we made $1, $2, that was better than it sitting in the warehouse collecting dust for 2 years. So think about that when you're doing your free shipping. Like I said, if you don't have a handle on on shipping, if you can't pick up something and you're like, hey, you know, I know this is going to cost me $8 to ship it, and you're pretty close, then you don't want to do that. You want to really get an idea. But if you've been shipping a lot of packages, you've been sending a lot of stuff out, making a lot of sales, you're going to have an idea of what it's going to cost you to ship. You're going to know, hey, I can throw this in a flat rate, priority mail, large box. It's going to cost me $18. You know, you're going to figure it out if you already haven't. And if you haven't figured it out, I would encourage you to do that, because that's one of those skills you really need to be a top six-figure earner on eBay. Anyway, That's it for this. Join me on the next one. We are going to be going over inventory, and it's not about sourcing inventory. It's going to be more along the lines of what do you do with your inventory? Inventory control system, managing your inventory, storing your inventory, that type of stuff. So make sure you don't miss out on that. Make sure you check out our school group, the resellerroadmap.com. It's free. Just jump in there, join. Lots of other sellers. We're getting a lot more people in there, a lot of good conversations and stuff like that happening. So make sure that you utilize that resource as well. 100% free. And if you have any questions about this, let us know. We'll get back to you. If we don't know the answer to something, we'll go find it for you. We don't mind doing that. We don't mind admitting when we don't know something, and we definitely don't mind going and learning something new. So anyway, thank you guys for your time, and hopefully you have an awesome day.